Hi guys, it's Ms. Berg again. Now I'm going to be going over 7-8. So it was just like the other previous one, 7-6. So I'm just going to go right on into it. It says compare mixed number factors and products. Now remember, I want you to write a little note here. Improper fractions and mixed numbers are all larger than one whole. All right, so you can make general statements about relative sizes of products when one factor is equal to 1, less than 1, or greater than 1. So this one says use a model. So this is just going to show you how to use this model on this. So it says Cherise has a recipe that requires 1 1/4 cups of flour. She knows that how much she wants to know how much flour she would need if she made a recipe as written, if she made half of the recipe, and if she made 1.5 times the recipe. So they want you to shade the models to show 1 1/4 by 1, and then what would be 1 1/4 by a half, and then what would be 1 1/4 by 1.5. So here is what is going on. It says if you did 1 1/4 by times 1 whole. So in this case, what they wanted you to do is do 1 1/4. So I'm going to shade 1 1/4. And then 1/4. Just going to shade just a little bit. And then I'm going to say, then I'm going to put this as 1 out of 4. So 1 out of 4. So this is 1 1/4 that I just shaded. Now they said times it by 1. Well, if I times it by 1, it's itself. So what can you say about the product when you take 1 1/4 and multiply it by 1 whole? It is the same or equal because you multiply by 1. So it would be the same amount. All right, here. Now they're saying what they want you to do is take 1 1/4 again. So you do the same thing here. So since I cut this one up into fourths, I should be doing the same over here just to show what 1 whole would look like. All right, so here is my 1 1/4. And now they said, now you're going to cut it in half and only do 1 out of these 2. So if I just shaded 1 of these 2 rows, remember this is your columns and this is your rows, columns and rows. There was no rows there. Here, this would be how much is overlapping both colors. So it's only this part right here. So your answer would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of what makes a whole? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 5/8. So what can you say about the product when you took 1 1/4 and you multiplied it by a fraction that is less than a whole? it ended up being less than that 1 1/4. So therefore it would be less than 1 1/4. Why? Because you multiplied by a half, which is smaller than 1 whole. All right, now what they're telling you to do is to multiply this. So what they wanted you to do is to separate like 1 1/4 and then 1 1/2, and then go ahead and multiply 1 times 1/4, or you could have just done a half times 1/4. So in all, 1 times 1 1/4 would have looked like this one up here. So that's what I'm just recreating. Plus this again, half of 1/4. So it would look that exact same thing up there. So you would combine these. So if you combine these and you added all this up, it would be much bigger than just 1 1/4. So what can you say about the product of 1 1/4? When you multiply a number greater than 1 whole, it will come out to be greater than 1 1/4, because 1 1/2 is larger than 1 whole. All right, so that is what we are going to be talking about today. This should go pretty quickly because it was the same exact thing. If you're multiplying by something that is bigger than that number, it's going to come out to be bigger. If you are multiplying by something that is the same as 1 whole, it's going to come out to be the same. And if you are multiplying by something that is smaller than 1 whole, it is going to be smaller. So same thing. I'm just not going to use this part. I don't like how they're showing you this. But it says Jake wants to train. You can also use a diagram to show the relationship between the products of which fraction is greater than 1, is multiplied or scaled or resized by a number. So it says Jake wants to train for a road race. He plans to run 2.5 miles on the first day. But on the second day, he plans to do 3/5 of the distance that he did on the first day. And then on the third day, he plans to run 1 2/5 of the distance that he ran on the first day. Which distance is greater? The distance on day 2, when he runs 3/5 of the 2.5 miles, or on the distance of on the third day when he does 1 2/5 of 2.5 miles. So when we are multiplying 1 times 2.5, is the product, the answer to this multiplication problem, going to be what to 2.5? Is it going to be equal to 2.5, greater than 2.5, or less than 2.5? Well, the answer should be equal to 2.5, because it did not change anything. Remember, when you multiply something by 1, it is always that other number. Here, now we're taking a number that is less than 1 and multiplying it by 2.5. So is the product of a number less than 1 and 2.5 is going to be what? So since this is proper, is it equal to 1 whole, greater than, or less than 1 whole? You should be saying it is less than. So therefore, when you're multiplying something that is less than 1 whole times 2.5, your answer should come out to be less than 2.5. Here, now I'm taking a mixed number. Now remember, this mixed number is always bigger than 1 whole. So I'm taking something that is greater than 1 whole and I'm timesing it by 2.5. What will happen? The product of the number greater than 1 and 2.5 will be what to 2.5? So in this case, it will be greater than 2.5 because you are multiplying by something that is bigger than 1 whole. So that is what you will be doing today. I'm going to come over here and we are going to start going over this. So it says you are going to have 2 1/5. So if you want to shade 2 1/5 so it's easier for you to see, you can do that. So here's 2 wholes. And then doing 1 out of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that should give me 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. So here's 2 1/5. And it says now they want you to find 5/6 of it. So the rows are going to be in 6. So I'm going to be doing this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so then they wanted you to shade 6 of those. I'm sorry, 5 out of the 6. So I'm going to do 5 of these 6. All right, so look at how much that was not used. That was of the original. So it's actually going to make it less because I just multiplied by a fraction that is less than 1 whole. So here's 2/5 and 2/5. Remember, the one that determines it is always the other fraction. And since 5/6 is less than 1, it will make my answer less than 2 1/5. Same thing here. Look at the one. It's saying multiply these and what will it be compared to 2 2/3. So these are the same in this problem. The thing that is going to determine whether it is bigger or smaller or equal to is the other fraction. Since 1 1/5 is a mixed number, is that equal to 1, greater than 1, or less than 1? And you should be saying it's greater. So if I'm taking something that is greater than this number, my answer should be equal to, should be greater than that number as well. So you should have said greater. Here, I am going to be multiplying by 2/2. So now here I have 1 1/2. So if I take 1 1/2 and I times it by 2/2, what will that do? Well, you guys can think of it. What is 2/2 truly? You should be saying how many 2's go into 2? That would be 1 whole. So really this is just 1 whole times 1 1/2, just another way of saying it. So what is 1 times 1 1/2? It is going to be what? It is going to be exactly equal to that number. Why is it equal? Because we just multiplied it by multiplying it by 1 whole. Here, we would be looking at that fraction, 3 1/6. They said, okay, if you multiply 3 1/6 by 2/3, what will it be? Would 2/3 make it equal to 3 1/6, greater than 3 2/6, or less than 3 1/6? Well, since 2/3 is smaller than 1 whole, that would make your answer less than 3 1/6. Okay, here they were wondering, tell whether the unknown factor should be less than 1 or greater than 1. So look, what they did here is they took 1 2/3. They multiplied it by something, and then it got 5 6. So what happened to this number? It was 1 2/3, and then it went to 5 6. So did it just get smaller, bigger, or equal to? It actually got smaller. So in order to make it smaller, it should have been multiplied by something that is less than 1. Here, originally it was 1 1/5. 1 1/4. Then it was multiplied by something, and now it is 2 1/2. So what happened here? Did it get smaller or bigger? It did get bigger, so therefore you should have multiplied it by something that is greater than 1. All right, here it says Kadam is making 2 drawings of an oak leaf. The dimensions of the first drawing will be 1/3 of the dimensions of a leaf. The dimensions of the second drawing will be 2 1/2 of the dimensions of the leaf. The length of the leaf is 5 1/2 inches. So will the length of each drawing be equal to, greater than, or less than 5 1/2? All right, so it says the first one, and then there was a second drawing. So the first one is going to be 1/3 of, means times, the leaf. Well, what was the leaf? It said it right here. It was 5 1/2. And then here, the second drawing is 2 1/2 of the leaf. The leaf again is 5 1/2. So what is going to be happening? Are these going to be greater than, equal to, or less than 5 1/2? Well, this one, here's 5 1/2. What determines whether it's going to be greater, less than, or equal to would be the other fraction. This is smaller than 1, so therefore it's going to be less than 5 1/2. Here, I'm going to be multiplying it by 2 1/2. So that is going to determine it, and and this is bigger than 1 whole, so it's going to make it greater than 5 1/2. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to the next one. This one, it says Penny wants to make a model of a beetle that is larger than life size. Penny says she is going to be using a scaling factor of 7/12. Does this make sense? So she said she's going to do a larger than life size beetle. So if she's going to take her beetle, say the beetle is 2 inches, and she is going to scale it by 7/12, will it make it bigger than life size? And you should be saying no, because 7/12 is smaller than 1 whole. So the beetle would be smaller. All right, next it says Shannon, Mary, and John earn a weekly allowance. Shannon earns an amount that is 2/3 of what John earns. Mary earns an amount that is 1 2/3 of what John earns, and John earns $20 a week. Who earns the greatest allowance and who earns the least? All right, so it says Shannon, Mary, and John. All right, so it says Shannon earns 2/3 of John. Well, what did John do? Oh, John is $20. Mary does 1 2/3 of John. And John is 20. And then again, John, what did he make? He makes $20. So who will earn the greatest and who would earn the least? Well, this 2/3, if you're going to multiply it by 20 by 2/3, that is smaller than 1. So therefore, that's going to be less than 20. And then here we're multiplying by something that is bigger than 1. So that would be greater than 20. And then John does 20. So who earns the greatest amount? Mary does, because she is going to be greater. And who earns the least would be Shannon, because that is less than 20. All right, try 11 on your own. So please pause and try this on your own. So if you did this, you should have said Friday was 6 3/5. Saturday was, you should have taken 6 3/5 and timesing it by 1 1/3. And then Sunday, this would have been Sundays. So, so did you write, Stuart rode more miles on Saturday than he rode on Friday? No, this is, sorry. Yes, this is true. He did ride more on Saturday than Friday. Here, Stuart rode more miles on Friday than he rode Saturday and Sunday combined. So you had to combine these together. This one would be much bigger. So therefore, this would have been false. He rode fewer miles on Sunday than he rode on Friday. So this one would have been true. He did ride fewer miles on Sunday than on Friday, because he multiplied by a number that is smaller than 1 whole. And then he rode more miles on Sunday than Saturday. And this is false, because this is lower than 6 3/5, and this one would have been higher than 6 3/5. So that would have been the answers to that. All right, here is your homework for today. Here I'm going to do number 3. It says, what will happen? Will it become equal to, greater than, or less than? So if you do 3 times 3 2/7, will it be blank to 3 2/7? So I like to use my little highlighter. It helps me remember what's going on. So we are looking at this. These are the same. So what's going to determine whether it is bigger would be your other number. So then you say, okay, is 3 equal to 1, greater than 1, or less than 1? Well, it is definitely greater. So therefore, if I'm taking something that is greater than 1 and I'm multiplying by 3 2/7, my answer should be greater than 3 2/7 as well. All right, here I'm going to do this one. Same thing. The things that are the same is 2/3. So if I take 2 3/8 and I times it by 1 7/8, this is what's going to determine whether it is bigger, smaller, or equal to this. Well, if you do that, this is a mixed number. Mixed numbers are always greater than 1. So therefore, my answer should come out to be greater than 2 3/8 as well. All right, and then I'm going to do this one real quick. Fraser is making a scale model of a doghouse. The dimensions of the drawing will be 1/8 of the dimensions of the actual doghouse. The height of the actual doghouse is 36 3/4 inches. Will the dimensions of Fraser's doghouse be equal to, greater than, or less than the dimensions of the doghouse? So it's saying that the drawing is going to be 1/8 of the actual doghouse. So if we multiply this, will the dimensions of his drawing be equal to, greater than, or less than the actual doghouse? So here is the actual size of the doghouse. He's going to do a scale that is 1/8. So if I figured out what 1/8 of this is, would it come out to be the drawing, would it be smaller or bigger than the actual? Well, it should be smaller because it is 1/8. So it would be less than, because 1/8 is less than 1/2. All right, so your homework will be 2, 4, 6, and 8 on this side. You can cross out 9. Go to the next page. I want you to do I want you to do 1 and 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to do this one with you real quick. Suppose the fraction, you multiply a fraction that is less than 1 by a mixed number that is 2 and 3/4. Will the product be less than, greater than, or equal to 2 and 3/4? So I'm going to do something that is less than 1/2. So we're going to do like 2/3 times 2 and 3/4. So what is going to happen? Will my answer be less than, greater than, or equal to 2 and 3/4? Well, you would look at this one. Since it is less than 1, it should be telling you less than. The fraction is less than 1/2. Okay, and that is it for lesson 7-8. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.